You're listening to The Forgotten Faction, brought to you by Dads of Destiny Westside. Visit us at dudwestside.com or follow us on Twitter at dudwestside. How you guys doing this week?
Recovering from Thanksgiving. How are you?
Doing pretty good. Had lots of turkey, and had lots of tri-tip on Thursday. Actually,
Really?
it's really good. I'm liking that family tradition. We had 5 big ol' hunks of tri-tip. Oh man, that was good.
Sounds yummy.
Good stuff. How about you, System?
Cooked like half a turkey. I bought like one of those like smaller birds. And like you don't get the legs or the arms. You just pretty much get the breast. And that was like perfect because there's only 2 of us in the house, so didn't have to buy a lot, and it was nice. Got that cooked up, and now I've just been eating sandwiches ever since. Because we just got a new toaster oven too, so the lady's been digging that, and so I've been getting tons of sandwiches.
Very nice. Very nice. That'll be sure plenty of food for a few days, yes?
At least a few, yeah.
Nice. Well, I think there's not a ton this week in the TWAB. It was a pretty much hey, it's Thanksgiving, so here's the hot fix, and we had a stream. So see you guys next week.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's not really a whole lot to talk in there. I was just talking about that first movie of the week video is clearly PC gaming, and his snipes are just disgustingly on point. So if any of you guys want to see what sniping on PC is like, go watch movie of the week. It's pretty crisp. But outside of that, we really just need to talk about the stream this week. And maybe a few other, side topics. But what did you guys think of the stream this week?
I was kind of underwhelmed. I mean, the new public event looks pretty cool. It's the biggest yet, and it takes you to a couple places. But other than that, they still haven't breached or answered the question of why should I log into Destiny every day? And maybe they're not really suggesting that you should, but like I'm still, I remember with D1, even all the way up until the very end, I would log in just because I was itching to. And nowadays, I have to find a reason just to get on there.
I can understand that. I know the feeling. It was D1 was an addiction or like a job. Like literally, like you had things to do every day. Like you had to get on because if you didn't do them today, you were gonna miss it.
Mm-hmm.
And D2 doesn't really feel that way. It's like, oh, it's the weekend. I'm gonna go play trials, but I gotta get on and do my call to arms this week first. So I'm gonna play like 3 hours this weekend. That's I'm gonna go play trials, and that's
right.
I don't have any reason to go.
But I mean, it's so bad to the point where I'll be on for half an hour and I'll have such a negative reaction that I'll be like, no, I'm done. I gotta be done today. So
yeah. Well, I think we've seen that within the clan where a lot of guys are going out and buying other games here or there and reaching other things. I've got Assassin's Creed now and Call of Duty, and I even picked up Rainbow Six Siege on PC because it was on sale for like $8.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I can. We got a bunch of people playing Fortnite, and and that's just because Destiny isn't giving us that reason to come back and grind, and those other games still have that novel feel to them.
Yeah.
Right now. So, but what were some things that you did like that they pointed out in that stream?
I liked the different simulated timelines, like the desolate future of Mercury, or rather the universe, that was cool how they went into that. And, I like the wall of forging where you have to forge weapons in that little. I don't know if this was in the stream, but right below the walkway to the portal that leads somewhere. I forget where, but there's like a little Vex gated off section for a secret, but we don't know what that leads to. So,
Interesting.
what about you?
I think the public event looks good. Nobody seems to be able to answer the question within the clan that I was asking during the stream, which is how many people can fit into a public space at one given instance. So, how many people max could we end up in that ginormous public
It
event?
depends on the public space itself. Like
Right.
Earth,
So Bungie hasn't answered it basically
no, Earth.
for this one.
Earth, I believe, is 32. But 16 in a given instance, I believe, is what it is. About that for the farm, and each one is different. I mean, it all depends on the map size. So you'll be able to find out once we get there, and you'll see people there. You'll know how many hold.
Okay. Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see how many people you really get crammed in running that public event at one time. Could be a lot of fun. You know,
Yeah.
it could be. We always talked when D1 was out that we would love to see some sort of massive public, like 100 players, being called into this ginormous public event on the moon or something.
Yeah.
Never really saw that, but I was thinking maybe this could be that opportunity, depending on 30. If we could get 30 guys in one place, that'd be mind blowing. I mean, that's a ton of DPS, that would have to happen. Be really cool. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Right now they're getting or they're having a difficult time having 100 people logged in at once. So.
Oh.
Just saying.
Yeah, but man, this coffee's good. All right, I like it when I make good coffee. Makes my mornings better. But I mean, other than that, I really didn't find anything in this stream that was really all that captivating. I was just kind of like, okay, well, I guess we'll just wait and see what happens in the next stream, because didn't really find anything that interesting here.
No.
So, but we got another stream coming up on Wednesday, right? Wednesday the 29th.
Yep.
Is it Wednesday instead of Tuesday this week?
Monday is the 27th. No, is it? What's today's date? Today's the 25th. So yeah, Monday's the 27th. Yeah, Wednesday the 29th.
Is that when they're... Yeah, they're doing it on Wednesday the 29th. They said at the end of the update. Wednesday the 29th, 11 a.m.
Yeah.
Well, that's the one where everybody really wants, which is new rewards that we're going to get. So what's season 2 going to look like? What's the armor? What's the weapons? What's my reason to grind? What's my reason to play?
But they missed their opportunity of telling us how we're going to grind and how it's going to be entice us and make it relevant. Like that was what this past stream was for.
That's true.
Without telling us that story, I couldn't really care less what they're going to give us and what the loot is if they didn't fix the systems or didn't tell us what we're going to be doing new every week. Why do I care if there's a new helmet?
Yeah, like, so they mentioned the forge. So that's how it's going to force you, once you pick up a weapon quest for the forge, it's going to force you to do an adventure and to get those items you need for that specific weapon. Then you get that reward, but once you have the weapon, what's going to keep you coming back and doing those adventures over and over again? What, when they did open up the box on that adventure, they got 2 tokens and a blue. I'm assuming they were at least a high enough light to be able to do those adventures. So somewhere around 300. That kind of reward 2 tokens, like, is that really worth my time to do it? Like, it wasn't very long to do that said adventure that they did, but, like, is that gonna keep me coming back? I mean, sure, there's 11 weapons, but, like, what's gonna keep me after I have those 11 weapons?
Mm,
And, like, that's one thing, like, this whole the loot, but how quickly am I going to get that loot, and am I going to want to continue after that? Because like right now, I'm max. I've got most everything. I've got pretty optimal setup for the what I do, and at this point, I just jump on to do the raid and help people with challenges or getting their completions with the raid. So I have an optimal setup for that. What's going to keep me coming back and doing these things? Like in D1, I would get on, do my daily story missions, grind out some strikes, grind out the nightfall. I mean, the one thing about the nightfall now, I can still get rewards each time I do it instead of just once a week. But
right.
what's gonna keep me actually coming back day to day to keep playing? You know, and unless and that's where fixed roles come into a big problem here. Like even if it was just a very small loot pool for each weapon, that your weapon could vary instead of completely random, then that would be even better, because then yes, I could grind for that optimal uh you know gun, the optimal nameless midnight.
Right.
I mean, sure, it's really good as it stands now, but could I have a better roll? Maybe. Do I want to wait 4 months for a balance patch to find out if I can get a better one? No. I, I'd like to be able to grind that out. Like, it gives me a reason to play the game. It gives me a reason to come back every day. I just don't have that now. I play hardly, that much anymore. Like I said, I get on to raid and help somebody when they need it, but then I get right off.
Yeah.
I think, this week I've put more hours into Horizon Zero Dawn than I have with Destiny 2 this week. And like, I enjoy both games. I do enjoy Destiny 2, but it doesn't keep me engaged.
No.
And where is that engagement that I had in D1? I just want it back. Like, I think D2 could be really amazing if it had that engagement.
Yeah, they still haven't answered the question of why, like, your next weapon that you already have is going to be better than the last one, or how it's going to contribute to making it better. So therefore, as long as we're getting the same loot, and we're not working towards a progress or a reward that we don't have,
Yeah.
then there's nothing to keep you on there. It's really about the friend game, and even then, all your friends,
If your
are
friend
playing other games.
if your friends
So,
if your friends aren't playing, then cool. Then hey, I could go do a guided games, or do some public events and meet up with some people, and maybe make some new friends. But what happens when they drop off?
right, and so they're making strikes. They're giving them the heroic status, and what will that make it harder? They didn't explain if it'll be modifiers, and they furthermore didn't explain if there's going to be strike-specific loot, which is another outcry from the community. We need things, new loot that denotes that we've completed that strike, or that makes us look a little different in the theme of, let's say, Savathun. Let's give us some Savathun gear, or give us some. See, I can't remember the strikes because I haven't played in forever, but you know what I mean. Give us something.
Yeah. I guess the game feels, at this point, it just feels extremely linear.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
And that's not, I mean, Destiny 1 didn't feel that way at all. It felt like there was always something to go explore and something to go, find out about that you just didn't have or know about before.
Right.
And now it's you already did everything in order. That's it.
Yeah.
Something that's curious is the stories or the stories aspect. Remember how we were able to, a la carte pick up or, load into any map and pick any story that we had played throughout the entire campaign of Destiny. Now you have to go to vendors and hopefully they're offering that story that you played throughout the campaign, which I don't know why you should have to be at the mercy of a NPC vendor when, that was something we could do in D1 that, like, to your point of linear and all that, if we wanted to go play a story mission, we could go play a story mission, but now you're only really at the mercy of whatever story mission the NPCs are handing out that day. So,
Yep. Which is it's such a progression in reverse. Like, why?
who is that hurting to give us, like, just put all the story plot points on the map?
I feel like it's just something they literally forgot to do. Like when they were building D2, they're like, "Oh, hey, let's make heroic versions available from Ikora every week." And then they forgot to put the regular ones back on the map to go select. Like that's what
No,
I feel like. Like
I
it's that blatant of a hole.
no, it feel that was definitely done on purpose to force you to go to Ikora to do those heroic versions. If they built the game for casuals, you know, we're seeing reports of those casuals finally coming out of the woodworks to say, "Hey, I'm a filthy casual, but my clan, who are also all filthy casuals, have stopped playing the game." They finally hit that point, and it's like, okay, we did these things. Now what do we do? Will we get better rewards? Will we get different rewards? No. So awesome. Then I'm gonna go play something else.
Right. So they and if they're coming out of the woodworks, let's say, this week or last week. I mean, I guess that's what, 3 weeks before the DLC drops, they finally are saying they ran out of things to do. But here's when DLC and season 2 drops, is it really going to be that much different that it's going to keep them that busy for that long again? I doubt it.
No, it's definitely smaller.
And so people are going to run out of things to do in 3 or 4 weeks instead of 3
months. That's longer than I would give it. It looks like something I could be done with in a couple days.
Yeah, and like, sure, the raid is moving up, so awesome, but it's going to be the same gear for just a higher light level. I mean, at this point, some of us who do raid a lot in the clan, we do 3 raids a week, and we help a lot of people. So like, I'm just gaining tokens like crazy. I'm going to be able to turn in those tokens to give myself higher level gear like right away and just progress myself quickly. And it's just like, one thing with D1, you could grind out all your factions just by playing the game and just keep getting packages over and over and over. And like, you can still do that with getting tokens, but there's not like that instant gratification of knowing you're progressing as you're playing and go, "Oh, hey, I'm going to take a break because I've hit a new faction rank. So I'm going to run to the tower, pick up my new package, take a little break, have a sandwich, get a new drink, whatnot." And like, the progression feels so much more gated by that. And I think after, something that the community has been talking about for a little while now, about the XP bonuses and the XP gain, and the XP limiter that they've built into the game, which they've acknowledged that they built into the game. If they had kept the XP system for factions in the game, that their XP limiter would have also affected your faction XP you were receiving after playing for a while. So you would have been earning almost no faction rep for playing the game after a while. If it affects your regular XP, it's going to affect your faction XP because, obviously those are tied into the same system. So they said, okay, so we'll fix that and we'll go to this token system. So you're just automatically getting this token, which is a set amount of XP no matter what. The only problem is your token rewards aren't worth doing the events because you have to do a shit ton of them to be able to get a package. And it just feels it feels lackluster. And it's just like, this is
That's a good way to
really,
put it. Lackluster is a good word to use.
yeah. And this last week, Crucible Radio, they had John Wisniewski on it. Did you listen to that episode?
I haven't gotten to listen to it yet. I had the little mini episode on where Bones was just talking about like, hey, we interviewed him, but it's going to take us a while. It's going to be a 2-part episode.
Yeah,
I'm going to listen to it this week at work.
The things that they were talking about in like their his design philosophy, it's like, you know what? Fuck you. And it's just like, it was a big giant slap in the face. Like,
well, please explain, because I haven't listened to it yet. What are they basically just slowing everybody down?
It's slowing everybody down, and thinking that the fours would be more competitive, and but it can't be fun and competitive if your friends aren't playing. Like, if it's meant to be a team based, it's supposed to be fun, but I'm sorry, you built the rest of this game that none of my friends are going to continue playing. So how am I supposed to have fun with my friends and be able to work as a team if I don't have a fucking team to play with? They didn't build the rest of the game around that so that my friends would continue playing. Like, if they had implemented a fours in D1 and like said, okay, let me put it this way. If they had built D1, or if they'd built D2 with everything D1 had to offer, but said, okay, when you go into this special playlist, your gun auto changes its perks to be a set amount of perks, and it's only fours. So if you have a pally, everybody's pally's got the same perks. I bet you more than not that would be their immediately new tournament playlist. Everyone would play the shit out of it.
Yeah.
But with the design philosophy of D2, the gating on everything, and the way you progress in the game does not want you to stick around. It does not promote you playing every single day. So, okay, I'm going to go play Fortnite because, by example, look at what happened the other day with Fortnite. They made a slight tweak to AR headshot damage. Within 2 fucking hours, they were like, "Oh, hey, we did something," and the community's like, "Hey, that's the values that I'm getting here are not right." Within 2 hours, they were already fixing it and pushing out a brand new patch to fix that headshot multiplier. Communicating to their community, "Hey, yep, we see this is wrong. Changing it. Boom, done." Bungie, we won't get another 4 months with things that are wrong with damage outputs, XP, all this stuff, and it takes them why does it take them so much longer? And they said that fixed roles were supposed to change that, but did it? Has there been any weapon changes on guns that are extremely overpowered or underpowered?
Well, and so that's the thing where they're what they originally talked about is now kind of I feel like it's a bit of a bait and switch, but I don't know. Part of me is okay with it, and part of me isn't. So what they're doing, because they can't find a balance. I think this is what happened is someone at Bungie said, "Well, I give up. We're never going to find an actual balance. Never. It's just not going to happen. There's always going to be something that's OP. So why not just switch up what's OP from season to season and retune the Crucible every season, and then people have to go out and find the new things that are suddenly amazing every season." which gives people a reason to come back and grind and try new things out. And then the meta's in flux for a month every new season until
Well,
people find it, which I guess that's one way to do it. It's just not what we were expecting.
well, here's another thought on this too. Is okay. So they have their Crucible design team, right? Which, let's face it, Crucible denotes balancing for the rest of the game because they do not separate Crucible modifiers to PvE modifiers as
Which
far
they
as
should.
as far as damage modifiers go. So, but they have a specific Crucible design team, Crucible design test team. Okay, they've been testing their Crucible values with pretty much the exact same people in studio for 5 years. Those people play the game very differently than the real world.
Clearly, as we watch them on stream.
Yes, I mean, even every time they do, they show Crucible matches that are in team, like when they first announced Trials of Osiris. Those guys were their top PvP players in their studio, but those guys play so much differently than the rest of the community does. And something they could do to help fix this, a PTS. We know a PTS is possible on console. Division proved it. So if they did that, even if they just gave it to, 50 people in the community, it would still give a better idea of the community, the way people play Crucible, the way they deal with guns. And they could balance around that instead of just their Crucible design team. Because they have a very specific philosophy on how Crucible should be played and how guns work and how they play with the guns, not the community.
Very true. It's very true. It's very, very, I don't know, frustrating. It seems to me like I know they can have ghost shells that only activate when you're in specific areas. So why can't we have weapon modifiers or weapon perks that only activate when you're in the Crucible?
Right.
Exactly. And then ones that only activate when you're in PvE areas. Like that should be very, very easy. Well, I can't say it's not very, very easy to do. It should be doable though. And which means that which by the way, okay, sorry. I'm going to come back to this in a minute, but we've been saying Antiope wrong for like ever, apparently.
No,
And we'll come back to that.
Who cares? It's Antiope.
No, we'll come back to that because it's a really cool story. Anyways, but point being, like every Antiope should have like that would be amazing if it had multiple PvE roles possible, and then just one PvP role possible.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
Was it. Like that should be it, because then you're gonna grind out to try to get that PvE role. That just makes it allows it to play more to your play style, but it doesn't make or break the game for you.
No,
whereas a god roll pally made or break was gonna make or break that weapon for you in PvP. But if they all have the same role, PvP wise, it's balanced, and there's still a reason to grind.
Yeah, as an example, Warframe. They do every gun has a base stat, okay? Which you could call a fixed roll. But then they have the mod system, which affect it greatly, how it works. And that's your mods on that. But then they have very specific mods for PvP. Your PvE mods do not work in their PvP. Only PvP mods work in their PvP. And that's a great idea. And it to that point is you could have those separate roles or separate activations for PvP, but they don't separate it, and they've proven that they can by those ghost shells, and that's a very good fucking point, man. It's why can't they do that with the rest of the game? Why? Is it sheer laziness, or it would cost them too much time and money that they wouldn't be able to get out. The game would have been delayed another 6 months to a year.
Well, then it needs to be in the next major expansion. Then next September, that needs to happen. Like, I hate to say that we'd have to wait that long for that to happen, but it may be that we're just going to have to putz along as it is until next September, when they can actually take the time to put out a giant amount of rework to the loot system that makes it worth everybody's time again.
Well, that's the question. At this point, are they going to do another 2 or 3 year game? Or is it just going to be the 2 expansions and then we're going to go to Destiny 3?
That's a good question. I would think that they're gonna build on this one for at least 2 years.
I'm sure they have the money to do it, but do you think they'll make it to D3 if they continue like this?
If they continue
If
like this,
doesn't
absolutely
change,
not.
D2 will be the last one.
I mean, how many of the top Destiny streamers, the streamers who made their streaming career off of Destiny's back, how many of
playing
those?
something else?
How many? Yeah,
something else?
how many of those are still playing Destiny?
Hardly. It's hardly at all. And that was the thing, is we were expecting, when if we just taken D1 and made it available on PC, it would have shot to the top of the charts.
Yeah.
On Twitch. And that's what we were talking about. Is like Destiny, even as it was only on console, maintained a very high status on Twitch for a long time. And we were expecting that when it launched on PC with D2, that this new amazing game was just gonna rock the charts on Twitch for forever, or for at least 6 months,
Right,
it's
and like
not even.
Bungie says, Bungie has said, "Oh, it's okay, go play other games in between." But like, I I don't know, man. Like, that many streamers, that many content creators that aren't covering your game except just to do, okay, Xur is here. Cool, I'm gonna do a quick Xur video. Like, how much is that gonna hurt them in the long run? Like, you've got streamers like it's starting to get bad. You've got streamers legit bad mouthing Bungie at this point because they want to play the game. Like, that's how passionate they are. They are legit talking shit because they just want to play the game, but the game's not worthy to play, and it's really sad. It's disheartening, and it's like, I want to play the game. I want to stream the game, but I'm not gonna grind out public events all day because that's boring. Like, I can't keep a stream going for 6 to 8 hours of just playing public events and to turn in 3 packages. Whoop-de-doo. Like, and it's just gonna be some stuff I already have, and I'm not gonna get like, oh shit, I just got this freaking amazing, NEOD with look at these rolls on it. Oh my fucking god, I'll just lose my fucking shit. No, it's gonna be the same one all 3 times. Whoop-de-doo. Like, that is not entertaining. And like, sure, that's maybe a small part of the community that watches Twitch or whatever, but you've got a platform that is getting as big as people watching NFL Sundays, but they're not doing it. I mean, you could be the new NFL, Sunday whatnot. I saw, it brings me to the fact that I saw this comic of this, the guy asking his son, "What are you doing? Why aren't you playing the game? Why are you watching people play it?" Because he enjoys it.
Yeah.
And the father was like, "Well, that's dumb." All the while he's sitting there watching
the football game.
Watching a football game. And so it's the exact same thing.
Yeah.
It's just for a different age group that want to watch people
It's a
play
different
video
interest.
games.
That's
Yeah,
it's just a different interest.
It's a TV show, people entertaining somebody. You could consider it like a talk show or whatnot. But if I want to watch somebody play Destiny while I'm not playing it, like in the background or whatever, I'm not going to be able to do that because no one's streaming it. You've got small time streamers still streaming Destiny because they want to build, they heard about all these amazing streamers that got super big on Destiny. So they're like, "Oh, I'm going to buy an Elgato. I'm going to buy all this whole setup. I'm going to get real big in the Destiny community." And maybe they're even thinking, "Oh, all the top streamers aren't playing Destiny anymore. So I'm going to stream Destiny and corner that market." Nope, because ain't nobody watching you play Destiny.
Yeah, because they've already seen all the content because there's nothing left unique.
Right. And so, sure, there's other stuff to play, but even this stream recently, it proved that Mercury is essentially a big circle with an offshoot leg of the Infinite Forest, which is just for adventures. So again, back to my other point. What is so special about those adventures that are going to keep people playing in the long term? Are you
Nothing.
gonna get
I don't
done
know.
with those adventures and go, oh shit, I could go do that adventure again and get a different reward? But is that reward going to be worth it to play again? Especially, one thing after having uh all the new forge weapons. After you have all those, is it going to be engaging enough to keep you playing?
That's the thing. It doesn't look like you can play every single verse, as it is called. You can't play them all at once. That's how they're going to piecemeal it out to you. So you're not going to play the whole thing in one sitting.
Right. He had what, 3 to be able to accept at a time, and you
Yeah,
can only
there's 11 nodes on the
there's
wall.
11, so 3, 6, 9, so 4 weeks.
And that's assuming there's no duplicates.
Right, kind of like Zura's been lately, and Ikora's had a lot of duplicates. But so now another question is I saw him select one. Once you get done with that one, can you go and select another one right after that, or do you have to wait another week because it's on like a cooldown?
I think you can do 3 a week.
And so if that's the case, so minimum 4 weeks, minimum.
Minimum, but maximum, they could just give you one new one a week.
Right. And even then, that's what, 11 weeks? That's 3 months?
Right. And how many months do they need to their
8.
next expansion?
Yeah. Well, 3-4 months.
Yep.
But yeah, I get what you're saying there, system, and that's that. As of right now, there's really not enough randomness to the content. The content is still so linear that there's no reason to go back and do it again.
Yeah. Which which brings up another thing that I wanted to talk about is raid challenges have been out, and this week is Callus challenge. So this is the last one before we start rotating back around.
Yeah, so how was it?
They're good, but it's interesting. So my thought is, if you do a challenge, I would think that you would be rewarded with special gear, but that wasn't the case. And I've been kind of mulling this over for a couple weeks now. So I completed challenge. I get a special emblem. Okay, cool. Why didn't they make special gear for challenge mode? Like you have separate gear for prestige and regular mode. Why didn't they make special gear for challenge mode? So I got a special chest piece or a special arms or special gun version of that challenge. Why didn't they make a challenge loot pool?
Is it only an emblem, or is there some kind of shader or anything else with it?
No, the only extra thing you get is an emblem and an extra chest. So you get double the chance of rewards each challenge.
So it's essentially the moldering shards, except for you have to do the complete prestige mode to actually get access to it.
No, you don't have to do prestige to do challenges. You can do it all on regular mode. You're getting double the drop. And an emblem. But after you've completed all the challenges, is it really worth? Because if you've completed all the challenges, you're probably a pretty good raider. You've been raiding quite a bit, so you probably have all the gear set. So is that double chest really worth it without having a special gear set for challenge? And that's another lost thing that they could have done. that would give me more reasons to grind out challenge modes for another 6 weeks to get the full set of armor and guns that are challenge specific. And even as a casual, like it could be done over a certain amount of time. And as a dedicated raider, like that'd be awesome. Like a special token system, even for challenges. As much as I don't want to do more tokens, like that's another system to come have people do challenges. I'm sure I'd still get 3 mob justices for the normal loot pool, and then another 3 for challenge mode. But that's another thing that I've got going on here on my own side. And it's just like, why didn't they do that? I mean, yes, the challenges are pretty cool. So baths, you got to have one person in center the whole time, which means everyone else has to be on their game a bit more. Dogs, you can swap off the prism almonds in the middle of the encounter, because you can't hit the flowers more than once with a prism. Gauntlet, you can't step on a plate more than once during the encounter. And Callus, you have to activate all 4 plates each damage phase, which is interesting. It slows down the fight. It promotes teamwork, but like once I have the emblem, why should I do the challenge anymore? Why?
Well, for you, it's pretty much the only reason you would do it is to bring other people through the challenges.
Right. And but how long before people stop responding to me helping them till I've run out of content because I can't help anybody anymore?
Yeah, no,
and it seems to be the big question of D2 in general. And super another bitchy podcast. Like, what is going to keep me? Why are you keeping me here? Why do I not feel the drive to play this game anymore?
Yeah, I don't wake up wanting to play this game like I did with D1.
I don't wake up and immediately turn it on.
Yeah.
Just to be in orbit to help people or go do stuff. I'll watch chat and be like, "Oh, okay, you need help? Sure, I'll jump on because you need help." And it's really, again, disheartening because the rewards are lackluster.
Yeah, the only reason I've been going on is to complete my Iron Banner armor sets, which I feel don't drop enough as it is.
No, and which reminds me, and I want to ask this question. HD, you would probably be able to answer this the best for me because you really liked it.
What?
When we did challenge mode for King's Fall, say.
Okay.
We got... No, I guess we did get double drops, didn't we?
Yeah, we got extra drops for completing the challenge.
Okay.
And moldering shards.
So I guess that sticks with that philosophy, but why didn't they improve upon that design? And like I said, give you special gear set for challenge. But it's just like...
Yeah, that was the biggest surprise. I mean, they did do some sort of graphical flair with prestige mode versus normal mode, but the perks didn't change. It was the exact same gear.
Yeah, and that's another thing, is the perks don't change. Like, why not? Why don't I have raid-specific perks anymore? What happened to the raid perks?
Yeah, that was something with D1. Like, you'd get the adept version or whatever the hard mode version of a gun would be, and it would be a little different, something a little bit cooler.
Well, even they had
King's Fall boots. They had special perks for the runner.
Yeah.
If you ran with the ball, you got faster speed, and
that would be awesome for these raid boots.
Yeah, like something to help with Gauntlet. It gave you faster running for Gauntlet and
or the raid weapons from Kingsfall do extra damage to this, the wizard or a knight. Anything like that would be helpful.
Make you immune to the Scion pop. Like, that would be a great perk for like the Mind's Eye guys. Like, it would make you immune.
Oh my gosh, that'd be amazing.
I mean, granted, you should be taking those guys down quickly because you need to be getting to the Scion, the floaty Scions. But still, like, things go wrong. Like, that would be a great perk for those boots.
There should be some sort of an arms or a helmet or something that gives you like an additional multiplier for skulls to make it easier to get skulls.
No.
So hear me out. So that when you're doing carries, like if you have two people that have helmets in there with one guy that doesn't, because you're carrying him, it just makes it easier as a team to get more skulls.
Well, that would only affect a small number of the community. If you think about it as a community as whole, like a perk, like I said, it would make you immune to being popped up by Scions. Like, awesome, cool.
Well, I mean,
something for dogs, it would make you like run faster or walk faster, should I say. Give you a higher speed. Like, sure, you could just bump up your mobility because most of the time you're walking around in there anyway, but like, why should I do that when you could give me a perk that would just help bump my speed
so
for that one encounter?
Well, so hear me out. So similarly to, again, because it's the only raid I know about, Crota. You had the boots in Crota.
Yep.
That would give you bonus agility when you had the sword.
Right,
which is exclusive to that raid.
Right, which is what we brought up with King's Fall is if you have the boots or whatever that bumped your agility if you were the
runner,
the Torn, yeah.
So similarly, you could have just some perk that gives you a small multiplier for your skulls.
I think that would be
again, all of these perks would just make it easier for people to carry others in the raid, or even just get your own completions done faster.
Well, I think that could be a weapon ability too. Like, just put it as better target acquisition for skulls.
Something.
Yeah, there's lots of things they could have done.
There's a ton of options there, and they're not taking them.
Faster run speed in the gauntlet when you're the runner. Like,
they had a lot of opportunity that they didn't take.
Yeah, and then one of the things that they talked about early on in the streams were how different weapons could interact with each other, like they did with the Mida and the Mini.
Those are the only ones that I see.
They should do that with raid stuff. Like, why do you not have stacked perks from weapons in raid? Like that should be a thing.
Also, the only two weapons that we've seen that actually interact are both exotics. You have Sturm and I can't even think of the other one.
Mida.
And then
Drang, and then you have the Mida and the Mida. Like, those are the only two examples of that we've seen. Why isn't there just more of that?
Right, and it comes back to, are the devs actually talking to each other between different compartments, or are they just creating different things and then leaving the leads, which is John and Luke,
to just make it fit,
to make it all work together instead of working as a studio together, going, oh, hey, I've got this great idea. How can we, we've made these guns, they work together like this. How can we do things like that in other parts? But they're not talking to each other, and either it's too much for Luke and John to deal with themselves, or they just don't care.
Well, or they could, like, because back to they hold the whole weapons working together. Why is it only exotics? If they actually made like legendaries that work together, yeah, they might not be the best guns, but that they work together. It would still give us something to farm for if you haven't gotten that gum.
Yeah, and like I could see, like, so if you brought random rolls back, like, those specific guns could be fixed rolls because how they work with their exotic, and like, sure, you could have certain guns that are fixed because they work with other guns, but like leave some randomness in there. Like I need a reason to pray to RNGesus. Like I haven't prayed to RNGesus in forever because
There's no point.
There's no point because I'm not getting really anything random. I mean, the only thing I do pray to him for is stop giving me mob justices. But, apparently he stopped listening to me. So, it's in a whole, D2 is very disheartening. And I'm really hoping that there are things that they're not telling us that will keep
really
me
hope
coming
so.
back day to day. It will change everything and shut everyone up so that we have a reason to play, and everything we're talking about within the last week or two, the last month, the last 2 months, that will just shut us all the fuck up. And the Bungie's just sitting there going, haha, these assholes are all sitting talking shit. Guess what? They have no idea what's coming. And they're going to blow all of our minds. Awesome. Great. That'd be perfect.
But do you actually think that's going to happen?
No.
And that's the problem. Is we're actually looking for them to say, you know what, you're wrong. But it never pans out that way. So yeah, for when the expansion drops on the 5th, we'll have maybe a week's worth of content, if that, and then it'll be back to, well, we're probably getting the next expansion in March.
Yeah, I mean, another thing too is like, you've got the Reddit community, which is some of the most loudest people in the community because they're sitting there, not playing the game, talking on Reddit. Well, now you've got gaming magazines and websites perusing the Reddit, finding stories, and the negativity in the subreddit is now affecting the magazines and the websites, their viewpoints on the game, because they're getting their stories from the Reddit, which is negative. So it's affecting that. And, it brought up, people have been talking about the XP gains, that you're affected how much XP you can earn. Well, it's not how much you can earn. It's how much it takes to hit a new level after you've been playing for a little while in a day. Your cap for each level goes up and up and up, and you're still earning the same amount, but your cap goes up. And people on Reddit have been talking about it for a while, but gaming magazines just picked up on it. Boom, later that day, next day, Bungie said, oh, hey, guess what? This isn't working as it's intended, which proves that was intended, which is pretty shitty in itself. And they're like, oh, hey, this is getting a lot of bad press, so we're going to adjust it so that you're earning the same level cap no matter what. And we're going to work on fixing it, which means they're going to put it back to the way it was, but slightly different, which is gating you, keeping you from playing for a long period of time. Why would you keep your community from playing for 8 hours straight? Why would you do that?
That's what we keep coming back to, is they aim this at the casuals, and to aim it at the casuals, they basically, again, this is a classic Bungie move, they nerfed the hardcore players by giving them fewer or lesser rewards for putting in that extra time. It's essentially a Bungie nerf.
I don't understand why you would do that, because your hardcore community is the ones that are going to stick around.
But they don't care about the hardcore community. They want to get as many people to come in and buy that $60 game. They want, and they don't care. I can't say that they don't care, but they at the expense of the hardcore player, they went after more casuals, because the casuals are the ones that are going to buy the game, that are going to buy.
Is that really going to make up the difference, though, if they're not buying the DLCs?
Which 90%
you're only going to buy the base game. What happens in the long run when you're like, oh, this this game isn't going to be worth it to stick around, so I'm not going to buy the DLC.
Well, that's the thing, is the casual doesn't have as much to complain about because they're not running out of content nearly
Yeah,
as fast
they're
as
not
we are.
they're not invested like we are.
Right, but
so they're just like, oh, this was great. I had a good time. I barely ran out of things to do before the DLC came, so it seems to be a good pace for them. And they like
think
it.
think about it this way: how many Destiny 2 players are probably just going to get the game in Christmas? Now they have the base game plus the Curse of Osiris.
I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of edition that comes with both before Christmas.
Oh, I'm assuming that it's going to be a season's pass. They're going to just be like, okay, buy the season's pass, and it might even be cheaper than what we paid for it.
Oh yeah, it will be for sure.
And you have a lot of people that are just going to wait until they can just buy. Like you saw it with D1. Mm-hmm. When they released that complete edition with everything in it, their sales went up again, and they sold the game for $60 with everything with it. Whereas the rest of us, we bought the base game for $60. We spent, I think, it was like $25 for the season's pass. Mm-hmm. That's if you only bought the season's pass. If you're like me and bought the collector's edition, that's $100. And then you have every other expansion that's coming after it. And if they do 2 expansions or 3 expansions at the price of $30, it's another $90. So I paid $180 for this game that I like and that I constantly keep up on. But somebody can go pick it up later on for $60 and they've got all that content, and Bungie's like, nope, it's a win.
Well, so here's the thing. I'm okay with that. That was something we dealt with back in D1, and that's just the way it works. Like you can't expect people, you can't keep dropping DLCs and expect people to go pay the same price for content that was dropped a year and a half ago that we paid, $30 for a year and a half ago. And that's the cost of staying up with the game and staying current and being the first ones to get to play that content.
But my point is we're the ones that are paying that money. Like we are very much
we're going to pay more money up front than the casual down the line will.
Exactly. And we're going to be the ones
how many more casuals are going to be because if you have 3 or 4 times the number of casuals buying that product, granted they're paying half the price, but they're still, because you have 3 times as many, there's still a 30% profit gain.
No, you're right. There is still a 30% profit gain. But why are we getting gated essentially? Because we want to play that content right when it comes out.
Because gating caters to the casual.
Yeah, but okay, so if you think about it this way, say, okay, I'm that person who buys the base game, buys the DLCs without knowing what the DLCs are going to entail. I'm an investor in that company. If you're not giving me the product that I am used to, you suddenly just change your production to create a product that fails within 6 months. My investment is wasted on a product that you're going to have to pump out twice as many products, because I'm going to have to the consumer is going to have to keep buying a product because it's failing. That is, yes, good for the company because they're going to make more money, because it's half the price to produce the product, but you're getting charged 1.5 times. You're charging 1.5 times that for,
because it has to be continually replaced.
So as an investor into that company, I would be like, no, I'm pulling my stock from this because it's not worth it for me to continue working with this model ethically or morally. So your overall stocks are going to drop. And your company's...
You think Activision's ethical, though?
Well, they're a lot more ethical than EA at this point.
Yeah, that's true.
But if it starts affecting their bottom line, and if after D2 people have such a bad taste in their mouth, they're not going to buy D3.
Right.
What's going to happen to Bungie?
That's a damn good question, considering that they have a freaking contract with Activision.
Well,
I don't know what they're going to go.
They're a little more than a third into their contract. Are they going to sell off the Destiny franchise like they did with Halo?
And they'll give it to 343 Studios.
Yeah, like imagine if like they gave Destiny to 343 after so long. It's like, what the fuck are you people doing? Like, why are you doing this cash grab when you could have people for life?
Oh
If
my
you
God, yeah.
just built a game that like, if you just gave us the option to grind for as much as I wanted, you would have me for life.
If they kept
Well-
with a stricter model that allowed for you to grind for something new, no matter what, their 10-year plan or whatever it is could just go, could keep going.
Like,
And
My-
again, some of this brings me back and wonders like how many decisions aren't actually being made by them and are instead being made for them by Activision.
well, no,
where-
because they have complete creative control. It's in their contract. They have complete creative control over what goes in the game.
Right. Well, no. Hear me out. Okay. Yes, they have complete creative control, but at the same time, they still answer to Activision, and ultimately, the where the money goes. I mean, that's at every company, you do things based on your stock price.
Exactly.
You do things that might not be the smartest because it'll be better for your stock price. And it seems like a really crappy thing to do, but that may be what they're doing is that they're giving Activision what they know Activision wants.
Well, the
But
only
look
thing Activision wants that's in the contract is it has to be out by a certain time. They have to make a certain amount of money.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe they're making these changes because they don't feel that the game is going to be able their targets are hittable under the old D1 model like we had.
They completely surpassed their targets as far as money with D1.
Oh my God, yes.
Completely
And-
surpassed it. Timing, they were late on a few things, and Activision charged them a little bit for it, but they hit all of their targets and completely surpassed. So why go to an unknown model that's within the first 3 months isn't working? Why not change that? Yes, Osiris was built more than likely before the base game for D2 was out. So there's not much you can change with that without it being super late and paying a fuckload of fees to Activision because you're going against your contract. But why not say, okay, hey, we hear you in the community. So for the next DLC and for things coming out, yes, they kind of said that with we're transferring things over to the live team. But why not say, okay, we hear you. We understand you don't like this model. We're going to go back to a model that everyone likes. That would help.
They already
cement
made
your
a little bit of that announcement with Iron Banner.
Yeah,
but did they change it in time? No.
Not for the next one, but I would hope. I'm not going to assume because that would be a poor choice to make, but I would hope that would be fixed by the next Iron Banner.
What happens if it's not?
Then you're going to drop more people. I'm
Right.
hesitant.
You're going to have fewer and fewer people playing Iron Banner every time it's not fixed.
Which
But
another thing to that is you are no longer justifying your player base to have those servers maintained to continue hosting physics on servers, which means you're eating money hand over fist for no reason.
Now, my biggest point on what Zach had said is I'm very hesitant on blaming Activision. Now, I do agree that they probably have a slight blame in this, but how many other games does Activision have access to or are partially in charge of that are doing well? They go through time-tested expansions. They understand what their player base wants. They try new things, but they keep old things to keep, your hardcore players happy. There's always stuff to do. Mike's, from what I understand, and I could definitely be wrong, 90% of your expansion money and your Eververse money goes to the live team, which is meant to make events for us and update the game so that, players like us have things to do. Why am I going to spend the extra money on things that realistically I could do without if I so chose for me not to get any updated content? How many events did we have that they know worked that just gave us simple little things to do. It wasn't all that big of a change, but it kept me coming back. Why aren't we seeing that in D2? Like, okay, I get it, time constraints, what have you. But these are all things that they know work, but they don't seem to be doing.
Yeah, when Activision bought King Game, they didn't change those models of those games because they were already working. So, which makes me believe they had no say in D2 in changing that model because D1 was working. This was a Bungie change. They changed their model and how we play the game because they have a different design philosophy than D2 because it's either they cleaned house and got rid of a lot of people and got new ones and that changed the design philosophy, or the people that are lead have always had this design philosophy but were constrained by somebody else in what they could do. And now that they've lost those constraints, they're making the game that they actually want to make. Because it's obvious from listening to John Wisniewski and Luke Smith talk in interviews and whatnot, their design philosophy is vastly different than what the community wants.
And well, I guess maybe I need to listen to those interviews. But if this is really just we decided that we're going to do it this way and we prefer it this way, then that was a dumb decision.
Right.
That's all I can really say about that, because it's that's all I can say about it. Enough of this ranting. Let's we're already over an hour into this. Let's move on a little bit here.
So talk about what?
I read some lore, and I need to correct how everybody's been saying Antiope. It's not Antiope. It's Antiope.
Nope, fuck that. It's Antiope.
It's Antiope.
That's like saying rotisserie chicken or rotisserie.
Yeah, seriously. It's Antiope.
No, it's Antiope.
No.
So hear me out. Hear me out. So
Antelope.
If you're rad, you call it an antelope D. But when they came out with the palindrome, I thought that was really, really interesting. The way they connect that. A palindrome is a word that reads the same forward or backwards.
Mm-hmm.
And palindromes have perfect up and down recoil and come back to the center position. So it's, up and down, perfect, back and forth. I thought that was, kind of a cool little way, for them to name it. But Antiope being one of the Greek goddesses, and Amazon. In fact, it was supposed to be like Wonder Woman's aunt or something like that. Very interesting, known for her combat. Just kind of thought it was like kind of cool that's sometimes they pull their names from the backstory or that mythology that gets tied into it.
Still gonna call it Antiope D, just like I still to this day call her Hermione.
Oh no! We don't do that.
Oh no, I'm doing it. Still do it. Argue with my girlfriend about it. Still gonna call her Hermione because that's how it is in my head, and I'm still gonna call it Antiope D. Okay, ain't changing that one.
Anyways, I got to read some lore this past week. It was interesting. I read a lot about the Ishtar Collective. I had no idea there was so much story there regarding the Ishtar Collective, and that they found 270 digital versions of themselves having the same conversation about finding digital versions of themselves and discussing whether or not it was just basically all inside the Matrix. So it was pretty cool. And I think that story alone would make, like I said, a really good miniseries. Kind of this, I think, I don't know, if they don't alienate their player base, it could be really cool. So anyways, not a whole lot going on this week from Bungie, and so we decided to rant a lot instead. So fun times. Fun time. Anything else, guys?
Nope.
No.
Okay, we'll stop ranting then. Thank you all for listening to us bitch and moan the entire time about how terrible this game is that we all love to play.